Boulder, Colorado. In the clear mountain air, a faint, sterile scent lingers inside a small laboratory. It's the unmistakable smell of hypochlorous acid, the same substance our cells naturally produce to destroy harmful bacteria. A company here managed to capture that fleeting, unstable molecule and make it stable, bottle it, and turn it into a business. That company is Sonoma Pharmaceuticals. Sonoma's entire identity is built on a single idea, turning the body's innate immune chemistry into safe, effective medical solutions. Its proprietary technology platform called Microcyn stabilizes hypochlorous acid, HOCl, a molecule that kills microbes without harming healthy tissue. Normally, HOCl is down within minutes under heat, light, or air exposure, but Sonoma developed a way to preserve it for extended use, allowing it to be incorporated into wound care, dermatology, eye and nasal care, and even baby skin products. It is a technology that promises both safety and strength, the disinfecting power of an antibiotic without the side effects. Yet, paradoxically, despite this scientific triumph, the company's financial story tells a much different tale. Revenue has risen, losses have narrowed. But even in 2025, profitability remains elusive. Why? How can a company with such advanced technology, global regulatory approval, and wide retail access still struggle to turn black ink on its balance sheet? If you're watching this as a YouTube short, tap the full version link below to listen to the complete story without interruptions. Let's go back to December 2016. The company, originally called Oculus Innovative Sciences, rebranded itself as Sonoma Pharmaceuticals, changing its ticker from OCLS to SNOA. In most pharmaceutical cases, a name change follows a merger, a new drug pipeline, or a fundamental strategic shift. But Sonoma's transition came with none of that. It was the same management, same technology, same product focus, just a new name. On the surface, this might have looked like a simple marketing refresh, but in hindsight, it signaled the beginning of a deeper transformation, a slow pivot from a scientific innovator to a consumer-facing healthcare brand. At the time, however, investors failed to recognize this quiet evolution. The next few years saw Sonoma make an aggressive push into Europe, one of the world's most tightly regulated markets for medical devices. Europe's medical device regulation, MDR framework, introduced to replace the older MDD system, is notoriously rigorous. Large corporations often take years to transition all their products to MDR compliance. Yet Sonoma managed to complete the conversion at a speed that stunned industry observers. Within just a few quarters, the company secured Class 2B medical device certifications for much of its product line, a level normally requiring extensive clinical data, manufacturing audits, and sustained investment in compliance infrastructure. For a small-cap firm, this was a remarkable feat, an anomaly that suggested something more than mere efficiency. It suggested strategic intent. Sonoma was positioning Europe not just as a sales territory, but as the cornerstone of its regulatory and operational credibility. But markets rarely reward hidden preparation. In August 2024, despite these achievements, the company was forced to execute a 1-for-20 reverse stock split to maintain NASDAQ listing compliance. Normally, such a move signals investor fatigue or deep valuation erosion. What made this case unusual was the timing. Sonoma had just announced successful regulatory milestones, yet its share price had collapsed below compliance levels. It was a contradiction. The science was advancing, but the market's faith was fading. This dissonance between fundamental progress and financial perception became the first crack in Sonoma's public narrative. Then came April 2025, a milestone that should have changed everything. Sonoma secured marketing approval from the UK's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, MHRA, for its acne treatment line. Within weeks, its products appeared on the shelves of 1,200 major health and beauty retail stores across the United Kingdom. Under normal circumstances, companies spend months, sometimes more than a year, bridging the gap between regulatory approval and retail presence. Logistics, packaging compliance, and distributor negotiations take time. But Sonoma's entry was instantaneous. That speed implies something extraordinary. Contracts and logistics had been prearranged, likely months in advance. For a company of its scale, this level of preparedness is atypical and may reflect either remarkable strategic foresight or urgent financial necessity, perhaps both. In June 2025, the company released its fiscal results. Revenue reached approximately $14.3 million, up 12% year over year, while the net loss narrowed to about $3.5 million, down 29%. On paper, the numbers seem to tell a story of recovery. But beneath those figures lay a worrying imbalance. Sales in Europe and Latin America surged, while the US market, especially animal health products, declined sharply. Normally, a firm's home market provides stability and early adoption for new products. Yet here, the reverse was true. Sonoma's growth was being driven by overseas demand, while its domestic base weakened. This inversion was more than a curiosity. It raised questions about strategic focus, product mix, and brand positioning in its own backyard. Meanwhile, gross margin hovered near 40%, but regulatory and manufacturing expenses in Europe continued to rise. Typically, MDR compliance costs are front-loaded, a one-time investment that diminishes after certification. In Sonoma's case, however, these costs persisted quarter after quarter, becoming structural rather than temporary. This hinted at a deeper operational constraint, a company still in transition, sustaining the overhead of a technology developer while trying to function like a commercial manufacturer. And then came August 2025, the boldest move yet. Sonoma launched its HCl-based diaper rash hydrogel nationwide across 3,600 Walmart locations alongside Amazon and several large grocery chains. This was a monumental expansion, not a pilot test, but a full-scale rollout. Normally, such consumer product introductions are phased, beginning with regional trials to gauge demand and adjust logistics. Sonoma skipped that step entirely. The decision radiated confidence, but also risk. Rapid nationwide expansion requires immense upfront inventory, promotional spending, and carries exposure to product returns if consumer adoption lags. Investors were split in their interpretations. Some saw a company finally connecting all the dots: technology, regulatory approval, and mass market access. Others saw the same old pattern: bold execution with thin margins and no clear path to sustainable profit. By now, three plausible explanations for the mystery had emerged. First, distribution cost overload. The burden of logistics, retail slotting fees, and inventory financing could be swallowing potential profits. Second, brand recognition gap. The science is impressive, but without consumer awareness, repeat purchases stay low, capping lifetime customer value. Third, portfolio imbalance. The coexistence of low-margin consumer goods and higher-cost medical devices creates internal drag on profitability, diluting financial gains from core technology. Each of these factors points back to a deeper truth: Sonoma Pharmaceuticals' identity crisis. Is it still a research-based technology firm or now a consumer healthcare brand? The market, it seems, has not yet decided, and that uncertainty itself is the essence of this company's enigma. Tracing its evolution, the 2016 rebranding, the 2024 reverse split, the 2025 European triumphs, and the sweeping US retail launch, one can see a coherent story of innovation and resilience. Yet the financials remain stubbornly silent. The numbers refuse to confirm what the science and ambitions so clearly promise. Now investors are left with a single pressing question: will Sonoma's newly established global channels finally turn into sustainable revenue and profit? Will customers embrace these products as daily essentials rather than medical novelties? The next few quarters will determine whether this company achieves the long-awaited breakthrough or becomes another case study in the paradox of technology without traction. The Valuester channel invites you, our listeners and viewers, to share stocks or crypto assets that spark your curiosity, whether they are listed, unlisted, or preparing for an IPO. Your suggestions could inspire our next deep dive investigation, so please leave them in the comments below. And to everyone who watches, subscribes, likes, comments, or shares our videos, thank you. Your engagement drives this channel forward, and we promise to continue delivering deeper, sharper, and more insightful stories that uncover the truths behind every market mystery. This was Valuester.